Hey everybody, welcome to Ask the Anabolic Doc, starring Dr. Thomas O'Connor and brought to you by his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. You see he's anabolic, he's flexing right there. Both of which you can get this book here, America on Steroids, It's Time to Heal. It's also available on Amazon.com. Amazon is owning the world right now, so it's a good place to have your book. How are you, sir?
Excellent. Another big week, Ron. Next week, we're going down to Florida for the final wrap up and clean up and organization and getting everything ready to open finally for 2 days, June 4th and 5th. We got patients lined up.
I saw a picture of the building. It looks pretty snappy.
Oh, yeah, it's cool. It was a plastic surgeon that unfortunately she's not there. I think she overbought. She purchased a lot of space and multiple suites, and plastic surgeons in South Florida, a few of them down there. Yeah. So, but something happened unfortunately to her, and I don't know what else. And we're picking up. We picked up. We researched this place and we checked. My God, 30 places, Ron. And we picked this. We got a great deal, and I wheeled and dealed. And this place is a turnkey. It's all teed up with it's a high-end plastic surgeon. Yeah. And it's really fun. And it's got a waterfall inside. Lights, hardwood floors. I mean, it's all decked out. The reception area. I got about 1,500 square feet because we're gonna start hiring doctors down there to work for me.
Excellent. So
I'm really excited.
Before we get into the questions, before we start taping, you mentioned to me that you saw some cool stuff on Steve Bleckman has a supplement company, Advanced Molecular Labs, and he published something on there recently that was pretty interesting. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but you did. And what was it? Yeah,
so Steve and I are always kind of in contact with each other, and he shot me an article that he just put up, I think about 2 days ago. The article's Best Natural Testosterone Supplements, and it's at the Advanced Molecular Labs. Of course, he has his own product that's there. Yeah. And I just want to say one thing. So, I've been working with you guys since 2009 as the Anabolic Doc. And, Steve Bleckman is obviously the chief. He owns it. He owns the magazine. The guy works tirelessly. He's a writer. He's a great writer. Anyone that can read Steve Bleckman's, even those opening editorials, you read those from the chiefs who own magazines, from Flex and Muscle. That's an editor. That's a chief editor, and they write that opening piece every edition, and how they feel and what's going to go on in this magazine, this edition, and that they put that's their heart and soul into that. So Steve does that, and he also, I know Steve loves to, as you told me in the past, pour over medical journals.
Oh yeah.
So Steve is very clear that Steve's not a physician, but when Steve, he's writing these reviews and editorials, he's reviewing medical data. And again, I'm the evidence-based doctor. Physicians are really only as good as we're using our evidence currently. Yeah. Of course, we have anecdotal, we have love, we have compassion in the art of medicine, but you have to, at least in civilized worlds, you have to use evidence-based studies. Steve does use it. So in this regard, I have to be impressed that he came down to what they were. And here's what they are. And it's a great article. Everyone should read this. He talks about DHEA. And that when I read the article and he put together the medical support for it, it's very interesting and true for men and women. Boron, and then the two interesting ones that are the real, like, what are the supplements beyond red wine, polyphenols and vitamin D and things like zinc and things, which he discussed, which was very interesting. Yeah. Fenugreek and Tonkat alley.
Tonkat alley.
I just want to say Tonkat alley. I just like to say it. And as a Western physician, people know when they ask me this question, I'm a doc. I just shrug that stuff off. Who knows if it works or not? But I think the studies based on this, it does increase testosterone. I've said that I've seen that it does. Is it sustainable? I'm not sure that was addressed. So Steve, it's a good question for Steve. How sustainable is the specific increase in androgen? And then, of course, is it correlated to the clinical effects? Yeah. How a man feels with mood and libido and things like this, and energy levels. So, and not to mention physical performance. So in the end, you compare it to testosterone.
Yeah.
So why, so in the end, I mean, so that's my spiel, and that's tossing that out there for Steve, because very well written, very interesting. He cut through a lot of other agents, and he came down to those 2 agents. I thought that was it.
And I believe advancedmolecularlabs.com, that's his company's, the supplement company's website. It's published on there, I believe.
Yes, yeah, and he has the actual ingredients on what it is. And again, if it's quality ingredients, which I'm sure it is with Blackman, because he has too much to lose for it not to be quality ingredients. Sure. He's
yeah. Doc, you froze up on me. Let's get you back.
Oh, we lost it.
There we go. We're back. We're good. Okay. Yeah. So let's get into some questions. And this is the one I wanted to lead with because I'm fascinated with this question. It's something I've often wondered, but I never thought to ask anyone who would know. And you're the anabolic doc, so here we go.
Let's go.
This came to us from Addie Levy. Let's say I'm on TRT, HRT, 200 milligrams of testosterone a week. Hypothetically, if I replace the 200 milligrams of test with 200 milligrams of Winstrol, stanozolol, how would that affect my levels? So could I use Winstrol instead of test cypionate for my TRT?
Answer is no way.
Ah, damn it.
No. I mean, so guys do, so it's amazing that if you check your labs on Winstrol, you're going to have low testosterone.
Wow.
Because it looks, Winstrol is an anabolic steroid. It's a derivative of testosterone, but it's not testosterone in a molecular sense.
Yeah.
So when you go, I've seen this. I've seen it with decadurabolin. I've seen it with Winstrol. I've seen it with all sorts of agents. Their test levels are super low, because it mimics testosterone enough to shut your own natural production down, right?
Yeah.
We all know this. Hypopituitary gonad axis. This is bro science 101. So it's just enough of an androgen in a molecular sense to shut down your hypopituitary gonad axis, but at the same time, if you're not taking testosterone, biologic testosterone esters, or gels or some type of testosterone, you're not gonna have testosterone measurable on an assay, lab assay, and therefore that's why many men, they will feel horny.
Yeah.
They will feel horny. Guys live on tren by itself. They're outrageously incredibly horny.
Sure.
Forever. Remember, we discussed this, and I'm also amazed. With different drugs, even I've seen guys on decadurabolin feel horny.
Wow.
Mostly not. And usually there's a time that they may start off to be horny, and then there's a certain down regulation, and when the brain kicks in and it changes and it gets the blood-brain barrier, the limbic brain, and then they're devastated with libido, absolute, complete obstruction, destruction, if you will, of the libido. It's been a long day. Wow. Of the libido, and that's why men, steroid users, always do what?
What's the answer? What's the correct answer here?
Take testosterone with everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of any. I've heard of people doing tren-only cycles or D-ball. People that are afraid of shots will do stuff like D-ball or Androl. I've never heard of anybody doing just Winstrol. But for like the physiological effects, if you wanted to feel like you were on 200 milligrams of testosterone, would it matter if you were doing something like Winstrol instead?
Well, that's a good question. The best question I thought was the fact that it will just tank your testosterone levels, so you're going to be like you have anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism right away. And when you stop the agent, depending on who you are and how long you've been on it and how old you are and how resilient you are in your brain and all these factors, that your test may or may not come back, and this is what I deal with. So, but as far as the effect, Ron, good question. So if you give it to women, let's think about women, right?
Sure.
So women take Winstrol only.
Right.
So they can feel horny on it.
Sure.
And what happens? They can lose their hair. They get secondary male characteristics in the face.
Stubble.
They can stubble, and the clitoris grows. Yeah. So these are androgenic effects, right, Ron?
Yeah.
So But I've across the board, of course, I don't deal with women anymore. Some of them rarely come in for to ask questions, and I show them their labs, and I'm ethical about it. It's very easy just to show them and say, here's what it's doing to you. Please be careful. But as far as replacing them on testosterone, obviously I can't do it. I never will do it. I never have, and I never will. But men, I take care of men. They devastate their testosterone. Depending on how they are, I could use testosterone carefully. So, but women have come in over the years, and I look at oral Winstrol. In the old day, we had Winstrol V, right? The drug, the veterinary, and they can feel great on this drug, of course, but they're going to have very bad side effects. I mean, they're androgenic side effects.
Yeah.
So men living on Winstrol by itself,
yeah,
I think I've seen, but they just don't do they, Ron? Or they finish a cycle of test, and then they cut with Winstrol. But
yeah.
But the test is still it's to me it seems like, and I don't really do bodybuilders anymore. I do all just regular guys and just regular people on steroids and testosterone, because that's the mainstay, and powerlifters, I guess, and strongmen. But the bodybuilders, they're always on different. They're always coming on different drugs, so they're coming off of testosterone. It's still in the system from a month ago.
Yeah.
And then they're on just Winstrol for cutting at the end. But they really still have testosterone in their body, so you can never really tell. I've seen guys just Winstrol, and I guess the one thing comes to mind is, they could be horny, then it goes away, and they can feel horrible on it. But it's all different men, Ron. You will not see the same. I have guys that they tell me, Doc, is Trendic true? I go, is Trendic true? It's Decaderable it's Decadic on steroids. So
there wouldn't be a phrase called Trendic if it wasn't true.
It's Trendic, guys. It's Decadic, and Trendic is Decadic on steroids. Trendic. So, and that's been out there for years and years and years. Yeah. But my God, there's guys out there. There's even a guy, I watch videos once in a while on YouTube, and I saw a guy talking about Tren, and it was amazing. He's got a lot of followers. He's this big. I don't know his name, but it's an amazing guy. He's in his selfie vlogger, and he's in his bedroom and he's talking about Tren, guys, and it's incredible what he's saying. He's like, sex, it's going to wreck your life. You're going to want to have sex all the time. You're going to want to. And I'm like, but he even acknowledged.
Yeah.
He acknowledged that, God, I do hear that Tren for some guys, at a certain point in the cycle, they can have horrible, sexual things. But he's like, not me. I don't. Everyone's different, Ron.
So to summarize, bad idea to try to stay on 200 milligrams of Winstrol indefinitely. You'd be much better off with Testipionate.
Well, Winstrol is not TRT though, and this that's an interesting question. People have tried. There are groups out there I've seen, like in the internet, of like non-testosterone using different androgens to mimic HRT because they feel that TRT is bad, Ron.
I see that the issue really puzzles me, because why would anyone prefer to be on something like Tren or Winstrol all the time instead of Test? Like, what's wrong with Test? I don't get it. Test
Ron,
it's just the most basic functional steroid there is. Why would you?
Most guys, if a guy needs it from steroid use in the past or just from diabetes and he's low T guy, if you dose the testosterone right, Ron, and you watch the side effects, which is all my spiel, Ron, it's a miracle for guys.
I mean, if other drugs were as viable or more so, I think you'd be using them, wouldn't you?
We absolute 100%. The effectiveness of testosterone on men that need it, dosed properly and monitored, it's safe to say it's a miracle drug, Ron.
Well,
miracle.
Test is best, people. It's true. It's true. So now let's move into our next question from Albertos. When we take individual minerals, vitamins, amino acids, etc., is it possible to cause more harm than good by creating depletions of other things? For example, when I take branched chain amino acids alone, do I cause imbalances with the other aminos? I'm also taking ZMA, vitamin C, creatine. What do you think about it?
Okay, so this is a great one. So this is, can you overdose on vitamins?
Yeah.
So I did a little research. You know why I love this, Ron? Because this show actually gets me to polish up on stuff too. So
I don't know where
can
you
you
found the time,
overdose?
but I appreciate you doing it. That's for sure.
No, I mean, like, 'cause I could always do the spiel. Hey, guys, like vitamins, there's water soluble vitamins, which is vitamin C and the B vitamins. Just thinking of B vitamins and vitamin C.
Yeah.
Water soluble. Then you have the fat soluble, A, D, E, and K. So I could do this from the top of my head, but I want to do better than that.
Okay.
So when you look at it, so you can overdose. Let me look at this guy's question. So his question is BCAAs and imbalances in aminos. So I want to do a two-part question. One is obviously if you're taking things like creatine and BCAAs and protein supplements, and if you have kidney disease, you definitely can worsen the kidney disease. The old argument that too much protein. The old argument from nephrology doctors that this is another great video I should redo. So I've seen many patients in kidney and end-stage kidney disease it's never one thing. They have genetics for it. Like, unfortunately, there may be an African-American guy has what's called focal segmental glomerular sclerosis. Say that.
Flex Wheeler. That's what almost killed Flex Wheeler.
That's right, and I didn't want to say Flex. So I've seen a bunch of Flex Wheeler-like guys, great guys, man, phenomenal genetics that you look at, you just go, these guys just kind of come in. They're just like 13, 14 years old. You see them, they're lean. It just from the Lord. They just have great genes. Then they train hard. Obviously, look at Flex. Look at that. It's probably arguably one of the best physiques ever in the world ever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just so. But then what do you have? There's no free lunch, right? The guy will know. There's no free getting out of this world without suffering for any one of us.
Oh boy.
So the guy's gifted. He goes out and trains hard. I'm not going to say what he does. I have no idea what he did or didn't do. But with a man that has genes for focal segmental glomerular sclerosis, which is not always African Americans, I found out. But it's certainly the predominance is more of that type of man, of that race. So it comes down to he has that, and then that's a camel's back. That's a straw. Then he lays on top of it, a lifestyle of being huge, carrying around tons of muscle tissue, and hypertension and steroids and diuretics, and then let's get to the protein. Okay. When you look at Leal Hurlitz, she's the expert. She's a nephrologist who's an expert pathologist at Cleveland Clinic. I've talked to her because I've coordinated care for men coming in end-stage renal disease, and I'm trying to keep them from dialysis. And I have one guy right now that we're working on. I've seen many, though, maybe a dozen or two. And I called her up, and they did a study at Columbia University in 2009 comparing steroid users and kidney failure versus obese people and kidney failure. And she found that it's a focal segmental type, but she found out that it's multifactorial and that increased protein, Ron, so I know I'm a long-winded guy. The protein intake is toxic to a failing kidney.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you have failing kidneys, you have to limit your protein intake. The old age argument is it too much protein toxic to a healthy kidney?
Chicken or the egg?
So when he looks at that, minerals, amino acids, building blocks of protein, amino acids, and I don't know about going to go into tryptophan and arginine, ornithine, taking too much of that. Your body, your nephron, your kidneys have to process that, and then depletions of other things. That's interesting. Taking a BCA alone, imbalances of other aminos. It's true. That is actually true.
Oh, wow.
But I want to hit more ZMA, vitamin C, creatine. I want to go into vitamins. So if you look at vitamins, they're broken into two types. There's the fat-based and the non-fat-based. And I found this great write-up. So I guess with my expertise, I could scan the internet with about 25, 30 minutes and pick up really good evidence-based articles on this review. So it talks about they can be bad. Let's talk about vitamin A. You ready for this? Let's move quick. Vitamin A, fat-based diet. Fat-based, it's a fatty base, so these are stored in the body for a very long period of time. That means you can pick up a little bit, and it's stored for a long time. So you could definitely exceed this because there's a limitation of your fat storage.
Okay.
So when you're water-based, your body's aqueous, it's peeing, and it's flushing things out. Isn't that amazing how simple that is? So vitamin A, good for division, vision, cell development, immune system function. You need a certain amount. So fat soluble, your body stores it. So if too much, I remember this in medical school, an overdose of vitamin A, intracranial pressure. It could be normal pressure, normal hydrocephalus. Interesting medical stuff. Dizziness, nausea, vomiting, always in there. Liver damage, headaches. You can get a rash. I remember seeing these things. So, and then of course, and death if you go too far over. So that's A. Let's go to vitamin C. Vitamin C, kidney stones, which I've seen it.
Wow.
Too much vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is this antioxidant stuff. Linus Pauling, remember Linus Pauling?
I mean, he was advocating up to 2,000 milligrams a day. 10
grams. 10 grams.
Wow.
So, and he lived to 90-something years old. Now, his data, I've searched this over the years because the guy's a brilliant guy, obviously. And you know what? It's not proven, though. Because it just doesn't work that you take it in, it goes through your small bowel, your stomach, obviously, into your lining, your first pass effect, and then it actually is going to get into the cells of the mitochondria of your heart, of your kidney, your liver. It's going to protect. It just doesn't. But you need a certain amount, and if you can, there are arguments, and I love to hear the argument that a certain form, people that have a reduced form, they make a certain form of vitamin C. I know that can get in. It's carried in, and it's protected, and you will have higher levels, and it's an antioxidant. So that's always cardiac disease and cancer prevention. Yep. Kidney stones, vitamin C, too much. I've seen it. I've seen multiple kidneys. Someone who has a propensity for kidney stones, and they're dehydrated and they're taking a lot of vitamin C. I've seen it. So vitamin D, everyone knows vitamin D, fat soluble vitamin, obviously for the bones, not to mention for your brain function. It's anabolic. Vitamin D is anabolic. Yep. Steve went into it in his testosterone stuff and the thing. So too much obviously can increase calcium. I've seen people get what's called hypercalcemia because they're taking too much vitamin D, and it works with the bones and your parathyroid hormone. So you know what? You want to be careful with that. Niacin, B3. This is a water-based. These are the B vitamins, and this is something that last week. I have a guy who had he has a stent. He's 60-something stud, total stud, amazing athlete, just a recreational amateur athlete guy. He's in great shape. All these amazing men come to me. I learn from them, really. And he can't he had a stent placed in his 40s or 50s. He had heart disease, and he changed his life after. A lot of men do. Yeah. And he can't take statins, Ron.
Why is
because
that?
they just break him back. They break him down. So he's been living on niacin, and he's able to take because he's dosed it upward. He's able to take a lot of it. That I recently sent him to a my lipid guys, my calcium scores. He doesn't need a calcium score because he has heart attack. He has heart disease already. So we changed the cardiologist, and the cardiologist stopped the niacin. And the guy said it can cause prediabetes, diabetes, jaundice, increased liver function, LFTs, and indeed it does.
Wow, but not in your patient though, right? He hasn't had any of these issues.
No, my patient had LFTs. LFTs were elevated, and we knew it.
Okay.
He said when I took him in a couple of years ago, I saw his liver enzyme. And this is not a steroid user. He's on testosterone though, because he's a balanced guy and he's been on since forever. And remember, he's like late 60s, and he's in great shape. And I said, we went over everything. I love doing it. And he goes, see my LFTs, doc, they're a little bit elevated because I'm on a big dose of niacin. We stopped the niacin. I checked his labs, or we checked the labs, me and the cardiologist a few weeks ago. Yeah. LFTs are normal.
Wow. Okay.
But we don't care, Ron. Who cares about a little bit of elevated LFTs? We don't treat a piece of paper. We treat the patient.
Yeah.
So he may go back on his niacin. Actually, I'm going to leave some secret out because he's on a medicine. I'm going to do a video of him maybe, and there's another guy. There's a new medicine. Remember that PCSK9 drug?
Yeah.
I got two guys on this new drug.
Oh boy.
It's a blockbuster, and it's going to tank their LDLs. And I don't work for these, for these pharmaceutical companies. These are really modern drugs, molecular drugs that are change the face of prevention of heart disease. Because statins, some people can't take them. We'll do a video on that one. I'll do that very soon. So liver B6, nerve damage, too much B6 nerve, folic acid, too much, and it can actually affect B12 levels. Nerve damage. That's it. That's my spiel. So vitamins can be toxic, and it's the classic toxicities relate to those fat soluble ones.
So, I mean, I'm assuming that the amounts, the doses of these vitamins to give these terrible side effects would have to be pretty significant.
True, Ron.
Not what you're going to find in a Centrum or something, you know?
No. And that's exactly why. But something like, say, vitamin D, there's a huge argument always going on how the Fed says it's 800, 600, international units per day. And then you have really good experts at UCLA and endocrinologists saying that's ridiculous. That's way under what should be. So, but they have to be careful because, like the lawsuits and people don't want to. So the Fed just bases things on strict, basic, minimum required data.
Okay.
They don't go far out, into other pools of data. If you look at other pools of data, you'll see that depending on your uptake, your absorption of your gut, if you have any Crohn's disease or irritable or inflammatory bowel, you're going to have to check dose vitamin D and check it. And you shouldn't be toxic, but I do see some people that require 5,000 international units or more per day.
Now, I have some useless vitamin D trivia. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Back when I was in high school, I worked in a hospital dietary department, the kitchen, basically. And I guess they had to be like a registered dietitian, the people that were in charge of the kitchen there.
Yeah.
And this guy, Marco, I remember him telling me he learned in his studies that a polar bear's liver is so rich in vitamin D that if you eat it, you will die. Be careful with the polar bear livers, everybody.
I love it. I love that.
Polar bear liver. Okay, next one comes from Squat Junkie.
Okay.
According to studies, and then he gave a link to this study, supplementation with coenzyme Q10, high doses of 200 milligrams per day, for people with a history of heart failure, reduces the mortality rate by 50%. It is said that Q10 relaxes and dilates the vessels. For a healthy person with no history of heart failure, could supplementing with doses of 50 milligrams per day be enough? Or how high of a dose would the doctor recommend?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Back to the heart again, guys. I did some research on this. I definitely know just off the top of my head more about this because I recommend CoQ10 for most people. All men that I take care of, women as well, that are on statins, the data is pretty good that you should replace it. You should replace it with a dose, and the dose is arguable 100 to 300 milligrams a day of the reduced form of CoQ10, which is called ubiquinol.
Okay.
And you should get it from a very good source, and I'm not giving name sources. So here's the deal. You ready? Strap in for this?
Yep.
So I did my review, and actually I found the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health to be very good. Found that our government did some really good stuff. U.S. Department of Health and National Institutes of Health Services, National Department of Health and Human Services. So coenzyme Q10 in depth. I was amazed. I scandalized. I said, boy, these guys got it down. So bottom line is, it's basically an antioxidant for cellular metabolism to maintain cells that are rich, cells that are very oxidative. Your heart, your liver, your kidney. I mean, they're marathon runners. Skeletal muscle has it too, but it's not anything like on the mitochondria and that energy cell, that powerhouse of the cell. This is where the stuff is related. So as you get older, you do lose. This is very interesting. This is very, very true. This is probably one of the best questions because it's something people should do. I do it. I don't take much stuff, and that's something I'm very specific about the coenzyme Q10 ubiquinol I take. So as you get older, the levels go down. I'm on a statin. Yeah. I'm further lowering it. So, and again, Paul Thompson, he's a big preventive cardiologist here at University of Connecticut, and he's a top guy in the world. He writes for JAMA and all the big rags. Yeah. He's the guy that says, you know what, Tom, it's not hurtful, and the data is probably good. So he agrees that people on statins should use it. And you could check the levels, but it's depending on the assays. It may not be reproducible. So CoQ10, let's check it out. Bottom line, obviously, heart conditions. Here we go. So it's in meats, fishes, whole grains, heart conditions. This man, what this guy said here, Squat junkie, keep squatting. I used to love squatting. I'm a squat monkey. I was a squat monkey, squat junkie. Heart conditions, true. Here we go. Patients with heart failure. Taking CoQ10 was associated with improved heart function and feeling better. I've seen the studies on this. So you think they have heart failure. Their heart is having a problem with ejection fraction. It needs to have as much support as possible. So that they have some good meta-analyses that were done well there, and I think that's good they said that. So the next thing would be recovering from bypass surgery, there was improvements, and coming from valve surgery. And then, so now blood pressure. A couple studies look good for it because this guy's talking about this right here, relaxing the blood vessels. So it looks like it's probably neutral for blood pressure, but so heart disease, I think it's good. Muscle, here's the big one, muscle weakness from statins. So this is what we use it for, and the medical doctors that are giving this, because we're primary care guys. 2010 review described research showing that CoQ10 may help ease myopathy, which is a muscle weakness and a pain associated taking statins. The findings were not, they were again, they always, if it's not fully in your face, a no-brainer, they're going to say it's controversial.
Inconclusive.
But the bottom line is this. I love it, Ron. I love it. Here's the bottom line. I'll just tell you, just subjectively from my experience, it's very. You're aging. You're losing it anyway. It can be expensive though. I guess the only side effect is because and there's no studies that have shown that it's really toxic.
Okay.
And the dose is 100 to 300. I take 300, and I take a very good rich form. When you open it up, it's like an oil. It's and you look at it, it's kind of this kind of red kind of oily, and Ron, I don't know if I feel any different on it, obviously, but I'm strong. I feel great. I take a good dose of statins though.
Now, so to summarize though, for people that have no issues with their heart and they're looking to take this, as a preventative measure, would you recommend that?
100 milligrams because you're getting older.
Okay.
So again, the data says you as you get older, you do lose it. Regardless of, so stay in the best shape you can, stay lean, have the Mediterranean diet, plant-based diet, so on and so forth. But you're going to lose it. Now, the fact that there's no studies on this, Ron, because you have to do here's the problem with the studies. And I've heard it from the experts. To see a benefit from this, it's such a long time that it's almost not going to say it's impossible, but to maintain that strict variability, that one variable and an outcome, it's almost impossible, Ron. So that's why studies are short, 6 months, 3 months, not to mention 3 weeks, up to 2 or 3 years. Even testosterone studies, and then when they go longer and longer, Ron, they become mixed and they become kind of inconclusive because you could tear them apart from limb to limb statistically.
Right.
But if you're losing common sense, if you're losing it as you're getting older, supplementing it, I feel, is certainly, it does show that it gets into the circulation, and therefore we feel it's crossing into those vital organs in the mitochondria. It's the mitochondria.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you're on statins, I think it's medical malpractice not to tell someone about it.
Wow. Okay.
Because it's going to really help them.
Now let me back up, because I don't think you've ever mentioned before that statins cause muscle weakness.
Oh, so statins, that's really rare. And I think that might have been almost a typo. It's called statin-induced myalgias. Okay, so a myalgia is not a myopathy. A myalgia is an achiness, and it's not a weakness. Okay. So again, we got to be careful with defining the terms here. Myopathy is extreme, and if you have a statin-induced myopathy, it's called rhabdomyolysis.
Oh yeah, oh, boy.
And that's called rhabdo. I told you I've seen a few cases. The guy driving the truck. Yep. And then he crashed into someone's lawn. They thought he had a heart attack. He was in acute kidney failure because he was in rhabdo because I gave him a little Crestor. Wow. Now that is 1 out of probably 10,000 or even maybe 50,000 or maybe even greater. And you just don't see it. But the common thing you see with statins in a medical office, the studies show even up to 10% of patients in a regular primary care setting, statin-induced myalgia is SIMS. And so you use the low dose. Don't give it unless they need it. Alternate doses every other day.
Okay.
All sorts of, and Paul Thompson's come up. He's been famous for studies showing that it's effective in protecting the heart, even with every other day, alternative dosing. And then I think you have to give this as a conjunct. You have to concomitantly, so together with a statin, it should be given. And you see it on TV, and the TV ad, Coenzyme or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because the studies are good on it. People feel better. It just, even if they don't feel better, it's still going to protect the heart from not being depleted from this vital mitochondrial antioxidant depleted. So the irony, this is interesting irony, you may protect the coronary artery, but there's an argument over decades when you're on statins will cause a myopathy.
Oh my goodness.
Of the heart tissue. I know I got it. Isn't that good stuff? So a heart failure can it cause, and that's the myopathy word they're using. But so the studies are pretty good, actually, good enough for me to recommend co-administered CoQ10, but ubiquinol, because that's the reduced form. Yeah, gotcha. We're done. That's all I have to say.
Okay, our final question is yet another similar, related supplement question. My Polish buddy, Darius Piwowarski. Do omega-3 pills work? By work, I mean preventing heart disease. I've heard you should eat fish, not take pills. But doesn't thermal processing of food destroy omega-3? Makes it even unhealthy? So that's a good question, because I think there's been an argument a long time. Supplemental omega-3 versus eating like salmon. What should we do?
We reviewed it a few weeks ago, Ron. So the truth is that's definitely controversial. And if you look for the real gurus of evidence-based medicine and supplements, of course, it's always the politics in there. It doesn't work.
Wow.
And I don't really know why, but it lowers triglyceride levels. I think it helps with joints, it lowers inflammation, can cause bleeding though. So if you're on fish oil and you go for a surgery, they're going to be like, please stop the fish oil a week before, like an aspirin. But But that whole long controversy is compared to people that eat fish.
Yeah.
So great question, Pawłowski. I can't even. They're the Polish names.
Piwowarski.
I'm an Irish Russian, so I don't know what I don't. So, but the truth is, it is true. If you want to get the benefits, at least from the best studies from fish. You eat the fish, 2 or 3 times a week, cold fish, hopefully there's no mercury in them. But I go on and off. I sometimes buy into the omegas, man. I buy, every throughout the year, because I have omegas in there, and I should probably throw them away. And I will buy into it. I will see an article that turns me on, and I believe it. But in the end of the day, I really do try to have salmon or cod like at least 2-3 times a week.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. My phone. Sorry about that, man.
That's great.
No, I should turn that off. It's the only phone, who even uses a house phone anymore? Nobody. I don't even.
This is live.
Do you even know your own home phone number anymore?
I don't.
No, I mean, I don't think most people do, because we don't use them anymore. Well, okay, good. It stopped. So that is all the questions I had for you, Doctor. I will be heading down to New York Pro, so that's what I'm excited about. Big bodybuilding show that Steve Weinberger puts on, Westchester, New York. So just putting that out there, because a lot of people.
Who's going to win, Ron? Who's going to win? Who's going to win?
We got some favorites. Guy from the UK named Nathan DeAsha is looking to be strong favorite. But we also got a local guy, 2 local guys, Jonathan De La Rosa and Juan Morel, both New Yorkers, both Dominican in heritage. Also looking really good, so it's always a good show. New York crowds are they're nuts.
I was there 2 years ago. It was in New Jersey. Remember?
Yes. Teaneck, New Jersey. Yeah.
I went to that one.
Yeah, I like that venue. There's so much parking. I'm all about the parking. So, but yeah, good show, and I'm excited. So I'm just putting that out there because I know a lot of people watching this tomorrow. They're going to head over there, so I'll see them there. But Doctor, I thank you as always for your insights, wisdom, experience, taking the time and doing research on these. Much appreciated. I know you're burning the candle at both ends with opening up the new practice in Fort Lauderdale and all that. So thank you so much.
I love it, man.
Doctor.
Bring on the questions, guys. Bring on the questions. Come on, let's get away from the heart.
And let's say this one more time, people. America on Steroids, A Time to Heal. If you haven't read it, get your copy today, please. All right. That has been another edition of Ask the Anabolic Doc with Dr. Thomas O'Connor. Make sure to look at his websites, metabolicdoc.com and anabolicdoc.com. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube, and on his websites you'll find links to his new men's health channel on YouTube, which you also need to check out and subscribe. So everybody, thanks for watching. Keep the questions, and we'll see you next time.